Yo. It's your boy, the insurance junkie, your fiduciary fella, the all-star advisor Alonzo Hall, your social media insurance broker. And today I'm here with another episode chronicling Husbands United. This is from the outside looking in because I don't know if it's just in the black manosphere space or the manosphere in general where a lot of guys they call this red pill stuff red pill when it really has nothing to do with mating and dating. Red pill is really, it has to do with awareness, number one, and with um self-improvement, right? So most of these guys who claim to be red pill are what they would actually be considered as blue pill, because red pill, you should be worried about getting yourself to your apex best and not worried about chasing pussy all the time. But it seems like a lot of these black men are. What I realize, however, is that a lot of these dudes also are talking to dudes who aren't husbands. And maybe when they were husbands, they were son husbands. They weren't husbands who were trying, even if they didn't succeed at it, who were trying to be the apex that they could. Let's see what's going on here. So, you know, it seems as if a lot of guys are not really ready for the conversation because they're not learning from husbands. They're learning from, what's this no fugazi guy who calls himself Coolie, which if you're black, you should understand a Coolie is a high yellow West Indian, you know. And we're talking about, oh, I make six figures. Listen, I know a man who didn't make six figures who took care of a household of 10 people with one income in New York City. And if he can do that and not have fucking complaints, then a lot of you guys need to step your shit up, right? Yeah, I'm going to talk some finance, but I'm going to talk some shit today. I have a guest here. Matt, can you hear me all right?
Yeah, I'm on right now. I can hear you.
All right. So we're going to talk some reality. See, red pill would be what I guess a lot of you red pill dudes call black pill, right? Now, myself, I'm no pill. I'm a realist, right? So I just deal with shit the way it is. How it is how it is. Let me see here. And that's all, right? So if you know see something that's wrong on the women's side or the men's side, yeah, you can call it out. It is what it is, right? Now, the difficulty is this. I am hypercritical on men, and I've been in conversations on YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, where the guys are like, "Oh, you're giving the woman a pass." No, listen, bro. Heavy is the head that wears the crown. If you're gonna be the boss, the king, the HNIC, you take the brunt of the blame. It just is what it is. It's just like if I was the owner of a McDonald's franchise and I hired a bunch of managers, and then these managers did some wild, rampant shit while I left them there in charge. Guess who, at the end of the day, if somebody gets injured as a customer gets fucked up and they sue the McDonald's, they're not coming after the manager. They're coming after me, the franchise owner. Because heavy is the head that wears the crown. I'm the boss. I got to make sure shit is right. At any rate, go ahead, Mac. Introduce yourself a little bit, and then we'll get into the topics.
All right. Good afternoon. I'm Mac. I run the channel Perfect Imperfections. Uh, I also go by Chronicle Matt. I'm a part of this thing with my friend right here, Alonzo. That's Husbands United, and I felt like this would be a good topic for people to discuss because I'm going through a situation right now with my significant other. Um, but in talking about whatever the situation is that I'm going through with my significant other, it's not to put blame on her or put blame on me. It's just to give the insights of what goes on in a real marriage, not you fornicating and shacking up with somebody and y'all together, but a real marriage. Um, so first and foremost, let me take this opportunity to say that I've been married for uh I've been married since 2021. Um, I got married 2 weeks after I was shot leaving my job. So that's important to take into this, so you can see where my mind was at the point. Um, May 17th at around 6:30 p.m., the day after my brother's birthday, I was shot uh, going to a store in both of my legs. Now, at the time, the person that I was going to marry, she was at home. Um, she had our son, and she had her daughter. So when that happened, my life kind of was turned upside down in the sense of I was told that it would be a hard possibility for me to be able to walk again. Lo and behold, God willing, I am able to walk and I'm in pain every day, but I'm able to walk and I'm able to do things. I'm able still to provide for myself and provide for, my family. At that time, we had already, or I had already paid for our wedding because it wasn't nothing like, you know, uh, this was something out of the blue. I got married 2 weeks after I got shot because I already put in the payment. I had people coming to my wedding, had my brothers, excuse me, I had friends coming from all over the US. Now, fast forwarded a few years later, me and my wife are separated. Um, we were supposed to move somewhere past the Mason Dixon line last year, but we got scammed out of our money. My wife got scammed, and you know, for whatever reason, that put a halt to us. So we had little problems from 2021 up until now, and it really started off with me not being able to do what I was doing before. Now, like I said, we're going to fast track that to now. I talked with Alonzo yesterday, and I felt like I really need to say this. Like looking back on the problems that me and my wife had, like I was not the best husband I could be. From the standpoint of when we got married, I was in a position of where I felt like I probably wouldn't be able to serve her the best. And as a husband, you are supposed to be able to serve your wife, and vice versa. She's supposed to be able to serve you. So I was not in the right headspace. Um, I hear a lot of people talking about what their wife is supposed to do, and it's really demeaning because when you come together, especially if you're a Christian or if you doing this under God, I mean you're supposed to be able to lift one another up. And I hear a lot of people always put blame on one another, and for whatever it is that I don't think my wife did, I cannot put blame solely on her because in my eyes, I was not the husband that I was supposed to be under God. Um, I had a lot of issues coming from being shot. Um, I dealt with a lot of issues. I dealt with a lot of post traumatic, you know, disorders, trauma disorder, and it was overwhelming at a point. Alonzo can attest to this. I had jobs and careers that, you know, anybody would want. You know, I had me a nice little salary with my commission. I was getting sales. It was lovely, but for whatever reason, I could not shake the demon which was haunting me. And like I said, I'm this is not me to down talk my wife. It's me to really just put perspective on it. Like sometimes we as individuals put too much pressure on a person, too much pressure on our spouse without actually realizing the pressure that we put on them or that we're placing on them at that time. I told my wife once I was able to work, and I rushed back to work. That's the number one thing. I told my wife she would never have to work because of the month that she took care of me. She was tending to my wounds. You know, she would see the pus leaking out of my gunshot wounds and bandaging me up and no, no spouse, woman or man should have to see their significant others going through something like that and being in pain every night. And when I mean pain every night, I mean till this day I'm in pain.
So let me interject there. um, and again, we might not have the exact same thought processes on things, but that's one of the reasons that you have a spouse is when you are going through that pain, what so have you, that spouse is there to help hold you, help lift you up. We're going to stop saying hold it down, but to help lift you up, right? Because the part of the purpose of the spouse, yes, as the husband, there's a lot of responsibility on us, but as the wife, they're there to help lift you up. And in the event that you are, in a position like yours, right, where hey, listen, stuff got real, right, and stuff gets real, and that's the purpose of a marriage. And I think, like you said, what a lot of these guys say is, well, what my wife is supposed to do. And just like you said, I can attest to some things. You can attest to some things in my marriage. For example, you know my wife cooks, I'll do the dishes, right? What's wrong with that? Does that make me a beta male because I'm washing it? Because if I was living alone, right? Or if I was living with another dude, right, in a roommate situation, I'd have to cook for myself, clean the dishes, this, that, and the third. So, what's wrong with it when you have a spouse? But I just think that I get what you're saying. No spouse wants to see their significant other in that position. But I think that's another thing that a lot of these guys miss. If one is willing to look out for you and hold and help lift you up when you're in that predicament, I think that's important to have. But I'll pause there and let you keep going.
Okay. And you know what? I definitely understand what you're saying. And to that I will say, like, as far as me, I can't speak on nobody else except me. I kind of had an upbringing of, I had what the women in my life, they did everything. Now, with that being said, I feel like a lot of us as black men and black women, we don't see a lot of married couples in our life to actually go off of. So a lot of things we're doing is a first time for us. It's the first off. And my marriage, I've probably seen one person in my life that actually had that, where they had the wife, the husband. the son and the daughter, what people would consider, the American dream of having your family.
Right.
And as far as, like I said, the way I was brought up under, my grandmother, and I had my aunts, and I had one aunt that was never married. I had an aunt that was married, but it didn't work out, and then she was dating all these other people. And then I had my father, who never married, and I've always seen him with different women,
Mm.
and his career allowed for him to be able to be with different women. And
Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
so
Not the specific career, but like the allowing to be with different women.
so being, my father worked, and you know what, this will tell you the type of career he has. So my father would work anywhere from 12 hours to 16 hours to 20 hours a shift.
Okay.
And he would vet a lot of money off of that because of overtime and so on and so forth. And the women that were introduced to me through him, they were career women. I can't even say they weren't career women, because one was a beautician who owned her own shop.
Mm-hmm.
Another one was in a profession where she had her her doctor's degree.
Okay.
And so they were well off women. But like I said, my father, he never did anything in his life to actually really want. I think he tried to go into the Navy, and then, because of a heart problem, they audibly discharged him, and then he found his career in New York City, under a New York City job, and he took that down south, and he continued his career down south. Like I said, I'm not going to mention the career that he took or he partook in, but he did that career for almost 30 years. Like I
Mm.
said, which allowed him to be able to go on vacation, which allowed him to be able to do stuff for me, even if I wasn't really around him as much as I wanted to be around him, if that
Okay.
makes sense.
I got you.
So, as seeing him dealing with his relationship, especially with my mother, he never really talked about my mother, but you know, growing up, I understood, how my mother is, especially in dealing with her. And the crazy thing is, I think that men have to understand in life is, even if you're not around your mother, you know, as much as you want to be around, the time that you are around your mother, she will rub off on you. Every son wants to be around their mother. It doesn't matter if you're raised around your father or not. A father can't give you a mother's love.
Right.
That's just straight up. A mother can't give you a father's love. But let's be real. A mother is nurturing. My father was the opposite of nurturing.
Mm.
His job was to build me up to be self-sufficient, as he was,
Okay.
as he is. And I respect that, because me going into this marriage, going through the thing, because right now, I didn't say this in the beginning, but me and my wife are separated. We've been separated since October 1st. We've been separated. And we've been leading into that since earlier this year,
Okay.
you know. And like I said, I'm not going to put any blame on her. This is not to cast any blame on her at all. This is me talking about me. And I really feel like I listen to a lot of people, and I hear them put blame on other people, and nobody ever really self-reflect on themselves.
Mm.
And that's the problem that I have. Because in order to move forward, in order to actually understand where you're going, you have to do some sort of self-reflection.
Right.
And with myself, I can see. the little times where I can not even a little time. I'm sorry. I can see the times where my wife would want to speak to me and I kind of brushed it off. Or she would tell me something and it go in one ear and out the other because I felt like she was probably nagging me.
Mm.
At the same time, at the same time, I felt like she was nagging me, but I also felt like she didn't understand what I was going through. Now, this is where I take the blame because as a husband and as a man, period, we are taught that we are supposed to suppress our feelings.
Right.
We're not supposed to. She can ask a question and we'll definitely say, "Oh, it's nothing." You know,
I
you don't
got
gotta
it.
worry about it. You ain't gotta worry about it. Nah, I got it. And that is bad because all that is a building block of building tension between you and your spouse. Because sometimes some things need to be said. Not everything need to be said, but there are moments where you need to have that clear relationship, especially if it's a person that you under, like I said, under God that you marry,
Yeah.
that you are laying next to at night, that you're waking up to in the morning, that's fixing your breakfast or fixing your dinner, and you're doing the same. A person that you claim that you love. And I think that term is just thrown out there now is I love you, I love you, I love you. Because I don't really understand. I don't really think people understand what that really means.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Even though I'm going through what I'm going through with my wife right now, me and her had a talk, and and this is the realest thing. We had a talk, and I told her I will be I'm gonna be for you now while we're separated. What I couldn't be for you when we were married. And that's if you need something, you can call me. If you need to talk to me, you can call me. If my baby boy needs something, you definitely hit me up. But
Right.
more so, if you need something, because like I said, a lot of times we don't understand because that's not. I saw my mother beating up guys. I saw my mother beating up her boyfriends.
Okay.
So you understand the difference in relationships that I've noticed. My dad would discard women. My mother would beat up her boyfriends
Right.
when I was with her.
Okay.
Like I've seen, I've been around people that would smack the holy hell out of a person over a simple disagreement.
Mm.
I've never seen my grandfather hit my grandmother.
Mm.
I've never seen my grandfather talk down on my grandmother. I've never seen my grandmother talk down on my grandfather. Only thing I seen was the generation after my grandparents,
In like a
where
crumbling status, basically.
where you could just see the breakdown of family value and structure.
Why do you think that is?
I mean, we we all know if anybody that's listening to this know where the breakdown of a black family value and structure came from.
Mm.
Like it's not something that happened overnight because even if you go back to slavery, black women always had black men's back.
Fair.
You understand? They never wanted to see, a black man be buck breaking or none of that.
Mm.
Even in certain in certain situations nowadays, you'll see a black woman that holds that old school value stand up for her man.
Touche.
But it's not. But it's so watered down because we got them. the Megan Thee Stallions and you know what? I hate to say I don't hate to say this because I actually appreciate this. There is a video of Cardi B standing up for Offset, and that really touched my heart because you see, like she's going to bat hard for her husband, which is something that you rarely see. I've been in a situation where I've been pulled over, and next thing you know, this girl is just running off at the mouth.
Mm-hmm.
And that situation could turn real bad for everybody, but especially for me.
Right.
You understand? Now, I'm talking about myself in this. As a husband, I should have listened more. I should have taken into consideration my wife's feelings more. Do I feel like she should have taken into consideration my yeah, but who's the man in the relationship?
You.
You understand? And there are certain times where you have to lead by example. And there's all too many circumstances where we don't. A lot of us like to play the same games that our spouses play. You're not talking to me, I'm not talking to you.
Mm-hmm.
You want to do this, I'm gonna do that. And that's not how it's supposed to be.
Right.
You know, me, I'm a Libra. That is my sign. I'm a person, I like peace, I like balance. I don't like to be unbalanced. You know this for a fact. You know what I mean? I like things to move smoothly. Like I don't want no problems.
Right.
I'm like 50. I don't want no problems, but if there's problems, you know what I mean? If you say there's problems, there's problems, and I'll give you the problems. I'm
Right.
with the business. I'm with the business. But but I don't need to be that. I don't want to do that. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
I want the best for everybody. I've been in a situation that people can't even understand, that couldn't even fathom. Y'all hear these records and these rap songs, and yeah, I lived it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They talk it, I've lived it. You know what I mean? You've lived it.
Yeah.
Like they don't know how close to death a person can be.
Tell me about it.
Like you feel me? Like I have an appreciation, I have a new value on life. We, me, personally, I told you this earlier today, and I'm gonna put it out there. So I sent my wife a poem. I like writing poetry. I've been doing this since I was 10 years old. I've always done creative writing and stuff like that. I'm writing.
So
I'm writing a book, right?
before you go there, because this is something that is stated often when it comes to a lot of this mating, dating, red pill, blue pill, purple pill, whatever. When it comes to this family creation.
Okay.
So one thing that, and I've pretty much seen this to be true just from evidence of a lot of the guys who are red pill, where's my hugged ass niggas who, may be divorced or what have you. They will say that a man is substantially more willing to be in a position where maybe he's not happy in a marriage
Hmm.
and he's more willing to fight for a marriage, whereas the moment the woman says I'm not happy, everything has to stop. And from what I've been hearing, it sounds like you're in that situation where you're willing to fight for it. I don't know,
So
I can't say happy or not because I'm not there. I do know you,
yeah,
but I'm not there, so I can't, put my
no.
finger on
So I'm gonna put it to you like this, and I agree with it. Like a man will stay in a relationship that he's really not happy with, and will try to stress it out to make the situation better because that's what's in us. That's innate in us is to, you know, we're here to whatever the problem is, we're here to fix that problem. We're not just going to brush it off. Unless it's something that's to the extreme, we're not going to brush it off. Especially if it's a marriage. Like girlfriend or boyfriend, that's another thing. You know, go
Another.
on about your business. You can do whatever it is. Now, from what I've seen from friends of mine and whatnot and associates, like the women in those relationships, as soon as it's not when it becomes emotional and everything, they're quick to dismiss. And I don't want to be with you. I don't love you no more, and blase blase. But at the same token, you give them 2 or 3 months down the road, and they go to, and I'm gonna use a narcissist tone. They go to their new supply, and their new supply isn't what they're used to, or not, or it's not as given as the old supply. Then they come back
Mm.
because then they realize, oh, the grass isn't greener on the other side. And then you'll have some people, which I guess I don't know if it's red pill, blue pill, Power Rangers, whatever you want to fucking
He
call it,
said Power Rangers.
fucking, Planeteers or whatever. But then you have them guys that'll take the women back, and they will consider them simps. Now, me in the way in the direction that I'm moving, I believe in a kingdom spouse and whatnot. Sometimes, you know, you have to go your different directions to understand what you have.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I understand where there are some people that are what people will call simps. And I'm not calling everybody a simp or anybody a simp, but I understand at a time where there's some people some people don't have it in them to better themselves,
Mm.
and so they get used and they get comfortable to the person that they with, and then they cry and they beg and they're looking for that person to come back because that person was giving them what they didn't have, or that person made them feel complete without them really ever searching for themselves. Now, I hear people call people simps, and I really think the people that call people simps are
Art
simple.
Sims.
Like, let's be real. The people that's out there that because you gotta understand, there's a lot of people out here that don't know what love is.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know what happiness is.
Mm-hmm.
All I did a video. I'd rather be used than useless. Because
Mm.
if you're not being used, you're useless.
Okay. I like that.
Meaning, if you're being used, somebody see the value in you to use you to try to elevate themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the problem with being used is some people get used and they overextend themselves to
Right.
being used. Because you're supposed to be used, and the person that's using you, you're supposed to be able to use them to elevate you in different ways.
Right.
It's supposed to be it's supposed to be unequivocally equal
Right.
between you and that person. Some people are just being used.
Right.
And if you're being used, then you're useless to yourself because then you have no backbone. You have no standards. A person can use you and devalue you while they're trying to level up.
Mm-hmm.
I was I was used to a certain point, and I used to a certain point. So this person got a level. This person became a married person. So now they're in a different social circle. I became a married person. I'm in a different social circle. Who we hung around was different. On the female side for her was a different class of people. On the male side, for me, was a different class of people.
Mm-hmm.
The different class of people I hung out opened up opportunities for me to build and be better.
So that's one of the things that I talk about when I talk to men about vetting, right? And one of the things I talk about vetting, because something that you said at the beginning about a lot of the red pill dudes is, oh, I want my wife is supposed to do this, that, and the third. And at the end of the day, generally, I hear them say the most archaic bullshit. My wife needs to cook, clean, and suck a dick. And I'm like, well, you, you got OnlyFans and fucking DoorDash, cooking clean and marrymaids.com, cooking, cleaning, and sucking a dick. There you go. But what about the fact that, like you said, can you bring your significant other around those, so male or female? As a woman, can you bring your potential husband around circles of women who may be influential or who may be hot to trot? And I'll give you a real life example. So me and my wife were out to dinner and drinks one day with some of her friends from her job. And one of the people that is no longer her friends, this was while I was working at Macy's. And they were like, girl, you need to get you a real man because that Macy's money, we got a lifestyle. Da, 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 da. And as soon as my wife went to the bathroom, this quote unquote friend was like, damn, Alonzo, why don't you come and get with me with your fine ass, this, that, and the third? I got the same job as your wife, da, 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 and I got this, that, and the third. Oh, but I thought I wasn't able to keep your lifestyle. So you just didn't want her to have it, right? But some guys might have jumped ship and been like, oh, well, she looks like this and she's a size 2. And, you know, my wife is not a size 2. But there's a lot more than just her being a size 2 that matters, right? Like I said, that lifting up, my health situation, right? This other woman would have skedaddled, right? So I think what's important is we also vet, hey, can I take my woman to the mayor's ball and her not try to hike up her skirt in the bathroom to, the highest bidder? Or can I take my man to, the girls drink night, and when the girls are drunk and feeling kissy kissy on, and they just see a male figure and they're feeling kissy kissy, can he push them off? Right? Those are things, and I don't mean that you should, quote unquote shit test your potential mate, but you do want to see what they'll bend or break over. But go ahead.
So, uh, something else that you can attest to. Before me and my wife met, I was dating a nanny,
Mm-hmm.
and she made six figures.
Mm-hmm.
Just because she made that six figures doesn't mean we was supposed to be together. She had everything the opposite of what my wife had. My wife is a caring mother, a loving husband. I mean, sorry, I'm a loving husband. She's a loving wife. Um, when me and her first started dating, I think within the first 3 weeks, I got into a accident in an Uber, and you can tell like how distraught she was from
Mm.
seeing me in pain. And there are just certain attributes that no other person can actually replace, and it's just one of those things where you be like, okay, you know what? And sometimes you don't understand or you don't realize it until it's gone,
Mm.
until you no longer have it,
Or until somebody points it out to you.
or until somebody points it out to you. But
I don't know if you went
things that
silent.
she didn't do, this is me speaking on me. because I get tired of hearing people talk about their significant others, and like I said, nobody does self reflection,
Self-reflection,
and
yeah.
that's the part, and that's where I think gets lost. Is you're not perfect.
No.
You're as much as you want to think you're perfect, you're not. You might be the breadwinner, but there's some things you're not doing. And until you actually look at yourself, I really don't want to hear from it. Or like I said, I don't want to hear from these people on here. Like I said, the Red Pill people, whatever, the Power Ranger group, the Powerpuff group, the Planeteers. I don't care to hear from them because to me it's ignorant.
Mm.
Everybody's situation is different. As far as I'm concerned, there's things I could have did better to move my relationship in the right direction. We're not together now, and honestly, am I disappointed? I'm not disappointed because, like I said, I wasn't raised. I wasn't raised. I didn't see that really.
Mm-hmm.
All I know now is she knows she can call me, and our relationship is good where it's at. If I could change it, if I could go back in time, which we can't go back in time, I would definitely change it. But for now, sometimes what you're going through will help the next person.
Mm.
Just take that minute out to reflect on yourself. Me, you know, I enjoyed this conversation with you. Um, me, I gotta get back to work. Ah, I'm as you call a time card puncher. So I'm gonna just leave it with you, man.
All right, so I'm not going to be going too much longer. We've been going for about 40 minutes. I'm actually going to go live again in a little bit, um, to talk about amortization and so on and so forth. But these are questions that need to be asked when you're looking at relationships, right? And again, this is from the outside looking in. So I think it's very important that, especially as men, especially as black men, that we have a friend circle who's willing to check us and willing to hurt our feelings, right? We don't want to be in an echo chamber. Me and Mac have these kind of conversations all the time. And, we'll put shit up to each other's face. Yo, bro. And we might not even say it directly to each other, but just in self-reflecting on ourselves, you need to be hanging with people who, when they're looking at themselves, it makes you go, hold up, let me look at myself. What am I doing here? What's going on? Right? Like recently, um, I had sent a stream from Cherie, Black Women Making Money, to my wife, and I told her, listen, I'm gonna do everything I can to be a better husband because there's a lot of places that I'm failing. As far as taking care, I personally think on the level of Kevin Samuels, the man should be paying all the bills. If you're the king, nigga, then be the king, right? And the king pays for everything. So there's a lot of black men who are out here who are failures in that aspect, including myself, because I'm not paying all the bills. Now you'll have people who will say, including women, who will be like, nigga, do you know this is the year 2024, not 1924? You can't buy a house with 11 raspberries. That's true. But one of the things Kevin Samuel said was, nigga, you can't be broke and proud. Who gives a fuck if niggas got some shit to say? Because, oh, you're a financial advisor and you're delivering pizza. Yes, nigga, because I'm only as rich as my brokest client. And you happen to be my brokest client. You make $22,000 a year. I make that in one transaction, but I don't have a bunch of people who I can make that off of one transaction because you're having difficulty paying $22 a month. So I got to do something else because this is all commission. I don't get paid for when I sit with you unless I charge you a fee. So if I sit and talk to you for 2 hours, that's just 2 hours of fucking wasted time for me. But unless you buy something. But you can't be broke and proud at the same time. So Kevin Samuels would say, listen, put your nose to the grindstone and work fucking 60 hours a week. Right? But a lot of guys didn't like that. A lot of guys in this space didn't like Kevin Samuels when he first came in and he was talking to men. They started liking him when he was talking to women. But there's a reason he started talking to women. because he said it himself, black men were an embarrassment. I use it as a badge when I called into Kevin Samuels and I told him, listen, I embody everything of a high value man, usefulness to the crowd, so on and so forth. The only thing that I hadn't had at the time was the consistency of finances of making $120,000 a year or more for 3 years consistently in a row. He said, well, you're high value homeless, get off my phone, and hung up. I wore that around the black manosphere as a badge, and a lot of men were like, well, who is he to tell you your value? He's the same guy who you guys send $100 super chats to tell a woman her value because she's not a size 2. That's who he is to tell me my value. He's the quote-unquote godfather of the space. That's who he is to tell me my value, right? He's somebody we are looking up to. And what I got from that, which a lot of men didn't, was, oh, bro, you're there. You just need to go a little bit harder because your finances aren't where they need to be. But you're already there. That's why he said high value homeless. He didn't say you're a homeless piece of shit. He didn't call me a bullet bag or a trash bag dusty. He said you're high value homeless. So I can understand, hear, see that you're in and of the echelon of high value, but you need to check some things. And the importance of that is, just like me and Matt, we're having these conversations that need to happen. Oftentimes, when I go to a lot of these spaces and I talk to a lot of the men, they're like, oh man, you're giving the women the excuse. No, I'm not. I'm pointing the mirror at you, brother. Because when you're pointing that finger at the women, 3 are pointing back at you. And again, boss king, head nigga in charge. Heavy is the head that wears the crown. So if we're going to be wearing these heavy head crowns, then we got to kind of, do what we do. So, it as rough as it may seem, you need to have a circle of friends who are willing to check you. Another person that I know that's like that is actually Miss Queen Sunkiss. You see her here in the chat. She'll speak to the men and the women. Now, do I think that it's a woman's place to tell men about themselves? No, but often they end up having to, especially in the black community, because so many black men won't tell another black man about himself. And the reason we often don't is because there is the threat of violence, right? And often, if you're a person such as myself, you have something to lose, right? So if I tell some of these, where's my hug at ass dudes about themselves, and then there's a threat of violence, and I end up beating this dude bloody, I go to jail, and I have shit to lose. I got a wife. I got a family that I need to be responsible for. So I have to kind of sometimes shovel shit and be like, yeah, you know what? You got that, homie. Because I am very much, and I didn't even have this conversation right here with Matt, but my father was a dude who ran the streets, rolling 60s Crip out of Texas. That's my father. My father is a dude who doesn't fight. He puts people to sleep. And I have that same attitude as my father. I'm not going to fight you. I'm going to put you to sleep. I don't like to tussle. So I don't need to tussle. I'll just put you to sleep. And once you sleep, now I got to deal with those repercussions. And you know what I mean? If you know, when I say I'm put you to sleep. For good. Right? And that's not the best thing in the world for a lot of people. So what I look at is this. Hey, you know what? We are in a point where if we stick with people who are similar to us or not completely an echo chamber, we can actually bring things to the forefront and help each other in helping ourselves, right? We can control the narrative, and we can give me 1 second. I'm responding to something. We can actually bring ourselves to a positive light, right? Like I said, Miss Queen Sunkiss will challenge, And I actually, I said, listen, you go ahead and challenge. Like I said, it's also really, in my opinion, not a man's place to be correcting these women, unless it's the woman that you're covering. Now, let's talk about that briefly, because a lot of the complaint from a lot of these men is because they're having difficulty not even finding a woman that they find as a good mate, but breaking away from the women that are controlling them, and that be women in their family. And you have to grow that backbone to get the women in your family to stop, quote unquote, controlling you. So you need to be like, hey, listen, mom, aunt, grandma, sister, cousin, you need to be covered, right? I'll give you a prime example. I have two cousins who both recently had a baby. One who, when she was with her at the time boyfriend, I grilled him. I was like, yo, what's this? What's that? What's the third? Look, little nigga, I work in finance. You're not about to be finessing my basically my little sister, but my little cousin. Long story short, she got pregnant. I was like, hey, nigga, shit'll get off the pot. Next thing I know, they're eloped. She's no longer my responsibility. She's his responsibility. I have another one. She was with her baby's father for substantially longer than my other cousin was with her husband. She's recently had a baby. There's no mention of marriage. Now, I don't have as close of a relationship with her, but I'm going to talk to the young man like, hey, nigga, fuck is you doing? You willing to give her your seed but not your last name? So, man, we got to start looking at ourselves. Why are you willing to give a woman your seed but not your last name? If that woman is not worthy of your last name, she's not worthy of your seed, because having your seed, you're actually connected for life, literally by blood. Because now you're soul bound. Because now when this child that you guys have had together does things like has a child, guess what? You're both grandparents. So you have to be cognizant of the things you do, the life you choose. That's why it's the outside looking in. That's why it's very important to have people who, like I said, are willing to challenge your way of thought, your thought process. They make you look in, right? Now, am I saying that, just because you have this conversation, they ain't no snap shit's gonna change? No, you didn't build your habits overnight. It took days and weeks and months and years for your habits to be what they are. So now that you're aware of them, you're going to cognizantly see it. Prime example, one of the things I do, I know my wife doesn't like, when I come in the house and I take off my clothes, they lay where, if I walk in the front door and take off my sneakers and jeans and they're at the front door, I'm leaving them shits there. She doesn't like that. Is that something I'm cognizant of? Yes. Is it something I'm going to do something about overnight? Hell no. But now that I'm cognizant of it, I can do something about it over time and be like, hey, maybe not leave your jeans at the front door, not literally at the front door, but wherever you take them off at. Right? Like I said, am I going to absolutely skyrocket, knock it out of the park in the first day, week, month, year of attempting to? No. But like I say, wipe ass, work in progress every day and see success. So now that I'm cognizant of it, I can do shit about it. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to get ready to end this particular stream. I'll probably come back later talking some financial services stuff. I only use the free versions of these programs, and for one reason or another, StreamYard won't let me go live. But I also have Restream, and I'll probably also restream this to Facebook. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy, the insurance junkie, your fiduciary fella, the all-star advisor Alonzo Hall, your social media insurance broker. And today we were looking from the outside looking in another chronicled episode of the Husbands Unite Club. If you are a husband and you're looking for a group of like-minded husbands or husband-minded men who are actually husband-minded and not just worried about Hulk smashing, hit me up. My email is in the description. And let's start paneling. because even little panels like this, they matter. They'll get us from point A to point B. Sometimes you do need a sounding board to talk on. And when you have these He-Man woman hating clubs, after a while it starts to make you wonder if these men don't like other men, or excuse me, do like other men and don't like women. Now, am I completely absolving the women of everything? No. Mind you, I used to be a where's my hugging ass nigga. Why? Because I thought I couldn't get the women I wanted. Did I not know until one day I ended up dating a girl? She was back at my house. We was doing what we do. She was like, I can't be, risking you with your little fan club of them girls over at the layaway department, because I used to work at TJ Maxx and layaway. And she was like, yeah, you got a whole fan club of bitches. Excuse me? She was like, why you think the girls and they mamas be coming to layaway every other day? They be coming to see you. I had no clue. I was a where's my hug ass nigga because I was oblivious to the fact that women were flirting with me. Not that I couldn't get with them. I just didn't know that they was trying to get with me. But I was also at that time extremely focused on building myself and getting my money right. But a lot of that had to do with the fact that I had a single mother who needed help with the mortgage. So at 16, I was out there trying to pay bills. Anyway, make sure you hit that like, drop a comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you're made aware every time I release new content. And as always, share. Lastly, to contribute to channel growth or to schedule an appointment with a licensed financial professional, the links are in the description of this video. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, wipe ass. Work in progress every day and see success. Wipe ass. Work in progress every day and see success. Wipe ass. Work in progress every day and see success. And remember, folks, when people challenge you, they don't challenge you to challenge you, but they challenge you